Turn off your lights. Make sure your doors and windows are locked. Things are about to get spooky. Was this a death timeline shift? By zouss. I'm not really a glitch in the Matrix believer, but I did go down a rabbit hole looking through stories in this sub a few years ago. Concluded they were fun to read, but it was too easy to make stuff up on the internet for me to believe it. But I recently had an experience that reminded me of stories I've read here, and kind of freaked me out. My cousin and I grew up in different countries, but we stayed at my grandparents' house every summer. Occasionally, one of our friends would visit for a few days. One summer, it was Amy Smith. She was cool and made an impression on me, though I felt she partied a little too hard, if you know what I mean. This is about 13 years ago. We were 17 and 19. I would ask about Amy when I saw my cousin every summer after that, and about 2 years later, my cousins said they had drifted apart. Amy's brother had OD'd and she got really depressed and spiraled into drugs. My cousin felt bad, but they weren't in touch anymore. Life went on and I put Amy and her brother out of my mind. Occasionally I saw Amy's Facebook posts and some of them were tributes to her brother, tagged as Joe Smith. Real name was unique and memorable, which reinforced the story in my head that her brother died and his death shattered her. I celebrated the 4th of July last weekend with my cousin in her hometown. There was a bunch of her friends there wearing sweatshirts in memorial of Joe Smith. My cousin said, "Remember Amy who visited us a long time ago? Her brother OD'd. We made these sweatshirts in his honor." I thought to myself, that's nice that even after 10 years they're keeping his memory alive. We were distracted making barbecue during the conversation and didn't talk about it beyond that. Except looking at Facebook later, there were a few posts of the party and sweatshirts saying something along the lines of, "Can't believe it's been a year since Joe died. We miss you, bro. Always in our hearts." I thought that was weird, so I did some digging on Facebook. I saw a post by Amy with a black and white picture of her and Joe as kids, talking about how she was 18 months clean. It was hard, but she was proud, and she knew Joe was looking down from the afterlife, proud of her too. Posted in November 2024. I swear I saw the exact same post, except more like 5+ years ago. I remember the 18-month clean milestone and thinking, good for her. I remember the black and white picture and talking about her brother looking down from the afterlife. I looked back at Amy's timeline and posts about her brother's death did just start a year ago. All the posts about him before that, he was alive and well. I texted my cousin to ask if Amy had any other brothers who had died. She said Amy only had one brother, the one who died last year. I told her I remembered her telling me about this years ago. She said that was impossible since the brother died last July, but he had been struggling and in and out of rehab for years, so maybe she had talked about that and I misunderstood and thought he died. But I don't think so. I vividly recall her saying the brother died and seeing tribute posts about him over the years. Anyway, not the craziest story ever, but there are a few posts in the sub with similar death time changes, so I thought I would contribute my experience to the archive. Maybe I'm just misremembering, but it feels very real to me. My cousin says I should let her know if I have any more psychic premonitions of people dying. I'll keep you guys updated too. She couldn't believe the generosity of the public when her daughter's GoFundMe page for her cancer treatment reached 100,000. The next morning, she started sprinkling sugar and asbestos on her son's cornflakes. An Invisible Cleaning Service by Wolf Writes 89. The weirdest thing just happened to me, and my husband and I agree that the only possibility is the world's weirdest glitch in the Matrix. I have 3 dogs in a nice fenced yard. I pay a service weekly to come clean up the dog poop, so I never need to worry about it. They come every Friday and always get a text when they arrive and when they leave, so I can make sure the dogs are inside during that time. I work from home, so I'm always here during that time. And I've gotten used to listening to the thwack, thwack, thwack of the poop being scooped to alert me to when they're out there, if I happen not to see a text. Business as usual today. I was in the living room and I can see the backyard easily through the sliding doors right off the kitchen from where I was sitting on the couch. I got the text and was extra aware today of the timing because one of my dogs happened to be a brand new puppy and we were dealing with a lot of poopy accidents. A few minutes after the text, I was listening for the scooping sounds and didn't hear it, so I got up and went to look through the door and window. I didn't see anyone out there. It only had been less than 5 minutes and they're really thorough, so it usually takes them about 20 minutes or so. That was weird. So I went to look out front. They have a very distinct truck, painted bright blue and green with the company's name on it. The truck was right where I expected, in front of my house, and I didn't see anyone sitting in it. At this point, the puppy had an accident, so I picked her up and took her out front and got an even better look at the truck while I let her sniff around. Absolutely no one in or around the truck or in the yard. I actually started to worry that the worker might have gotten injured or something weird on their way from the truck to the backyard, so I went around the side of the house where they would enter, and nothing. Brought the puppy in and checked the cameras that are on the side of the house in the backyard. I used them to watch the dogs, and nothing. At this point, I'm chalking it up to a lazy employee. I figured someone just fucked off and went for a walk or something instead of scooping poop. Can't totally blame them, actually. The job complete notification came about 20 minutes after the first text, like it normally would, and I'm absolutely positive that at no point did anyone enter the yard. I get up and look, the truck is gone. Again, I figure it's just a lazy minimum-wage teenager. I'm reluctantly to go all Karen and send an email to the company, politely, just to let them know, but I decided to double check just to be sure. Grabbed all 3 dogs and went out back. Like I said, new puppies, so I've been spending a lot of time out here the past week, so I know exactly where all the major poop spots are. And they're all clean. I couldn't believe it. I still don't understand it. I went in and told my husband, and we both can't stop laughing about it. Dog pooper scooper with an invisibility cloak? Ninja worker? Time slip? No clue. I'm going with glitch. Side note from me, if you want to see their cute dogs, they do post them on Reddit if you go to their profile. I of course paid the puppy tax with the puppy on the screen for you. After photographing my friends, I began snapping pictures of everyone at the music park, which consisted of clowns, performers, lone children, couples with babies, and even the caretaker. My camera is the only device in existence that can capture spirits for transportation, and these souls were trapped here after a cruel ritual conducted shortly following the mass shooting. I have 3 halves of 1 lime? Help? By Sydney Wright. So, here's the thing, Every Sunday I make guacamole. It's my little ritual, and every time I use exactly half a lime, just half. I squeeze it in, mix everything, put the other half back in the fridge for later. This Sunday was no different. I had my guac, used half a lime, and left the other half in the fridge. Easy. Then on Wednesday, I decided to make another guacamole because my sister hadn't eaten her avocado yet, and I didn't want it to go bad. I asked if I could use it, she said yes, and I remembered, perfect, I still have the other half of the lime from Sunday. So I grabbed it, squeezed it in, eat and chill. Everything's normal. Until today. I opened the fridge to grab my yogurt and boom. Another half of a lime is just sitting there. The same spot, same size, fresh and all. Now, that wouldn't be weird if someone else in the house used limes, but no one does. My mom and sister don't even touch limes. The only citrus we ever use is lemon, and that's only when we bake lemon cake, which we haven't done in weeks because my mom's on a diet. So now I'm like, what? Because I swear I used the last half yesterday. To be sure, I even checked the trash, and yep, the 2 old lime halves are still there. Both of them are the top parts. You know, the one without the little stem hole? But the one in my fridge right now is clearly the bottom half to the side where the stem connects to the tree. Which makes no sense, because somehow I now have 3 halves of 1 lime. And the new one looks freshly cut. Like, who cut it? Where did it even come from? I'm honestly questioning reality at this point. Either I accidentally discovered a lime duplication, or the Matrix just glitched right inside my fridge. My uncle, despite being the best farmhand in town, will make sure that our crops grow strong this year. He wouldn't have drawn the black stone if God didn't want him to be the sacrifice. Frozen Airplane in the Air by Sydney Wright. I can remember vividly it was 3 years ago when I was visiting Brazil. We were in a car of my mom's friend and they drove us home from the airport. Everything was normal until we reached a red light and the car stopped. I was sitting in the back right in the car by the window, so I was looking right out the window, taking in what was outside. I kid you not, between the 2 buildings you could see the airport still. Like behind a fence, but a fence you could easily see through. It's the fences that are made of metal strings that are barbed into each other. I hope you all can get the picture. The creepy thing is not the fence, but what was behind it. There was an airplane in the air. Normal, right? Nope. It was hovering like it was about to land, but didn't. It was tilted forward like the landing motion, but it didn't. I was so confused that no one other than me noticed, and when I was going to record it, the red light turned green again. I've heard some stories or seen some videos of planes just being frozen in the air. I would have never imagined that I'd see something like that. Like, the red light was probably 30 seconds long, and it was in the air for the whole time. The stroll through the woods was so pleasant, I didn't realize how close to dusk it was. I hastened my pace while watching where I placed my steps, lest I give the growing shadows an opportunity to grab me again. Very Weird Repetition Glitch at the Beach by reflectionwavy. So this is something that happened to me and a friend of mine at a beach in southern France some years ago. and it still creeps me out today, and I'm very curious to know if something similar happened to other people. So we're sitting on the beach, close to the beach. This place is quite busy when it's daytime, but very calm and deserted at night. Almost nobody here. Like we love to do on weekends or holidays, me and my friend were just chilling, staring at the beach, with just a few city lights still up far from the beach while smoking. It was around midnight, and at some point we saw two people who looked like a 40-year-old something dad with his around 10-year-old daughter. We still both remember clear as day what they said as they walked past us. The girl seemed joyful, told her father that she wanted churros, and her dad replied that she already ate something not long ago. We were like, okay, weird. It's very rare to see people here at this time, and even weirder that this kid is still up and also wants churro at midnight when everyone is obviously closed, but nothing that strange. We just minded our business and kept smoking and chilling. 1 hour later, at about 1 a.m., the exact same dad and daughter were just walking in front of us again. But what creeped us out a little is that they were saying the exact same thing from earlier. The daughter wanted churros, the dad telling her she had already ate something not long ago. With the exact same words. At least that's how my friend and I both remember it. We were kind of creeped out, but just told ourselves though it might be some tourists who love night walks. Weird for the kid this age, but hey, okay. The thing is, the exact same shit happened an hour later at around 2 a.m. And the exact same freaking conversation. The little girl wanted churros, and her dad saying, no, you already ate not long ago. Now, me and my friend were just absolutely creeped out. We hesitated for a second and discussed whether or not we should try to follow them and talk to them. But my friend was very, very scared. He started to think those were ghosts and that we should not disturb them. So we just went back home, and funny enough, we never chilled at that spot again since this day. Unlike my friend, I don't really believe in ghosts, so I'm really interested to hear those theories on this. Maybe this was totally normal, but the exact same use of words and the fact that dad was walking with his daughter this late still feels weird to me. What do y'all think? I also really want to know if any of you went through something similar. Please share. That's pretty much the only weird or glitchy experience I had in my whole life, and me and my friend would feel less alone if someone went through something similar. Sorry if there's mistakes. English is not my mother language. Fuck! I shouted, and my horrified parents immediately began washing my mouth out with soap. Shooing away the bacteria-filled lizard that bit me on the mouth, they frantically used the only disinfectant available to clean the wound. Hello Reddit, long time no glitch, until today, by Almost-Jaded. Been a while, I'm still in the wrong universe. For anyone who doesn't know my old posts, I seem to have landed in a place with a couple of significant differences from where I was about 10 plus years prior, and I'm still stuck here. But haven't had any glitches for many months. I even kinda stopped lurking and posting here because I kinda wanted to put it behind me. Couple little glitches I let slide, just a couple of standard disappearing cars. A car came down a ramp very fast to my right on the I-15 one night. A maroon current generation Honda Accord. I'm a car guy, I notice these things. Brakes next to me when he's running out of lane, cuts over 2 lanes behind me, accelerates to pass, and then there were no cars around me. Like he hit my blind spot and just vanished. I glanced around frantically for a minute and then just decided to tell myself it didn't happen. A couple weeks later, I'm waiting for my car to get washed, and I see a bright orange McLaren 570 at the intersection across the way. Not an incredibly rare sight in this neighborhood, to be honest, but I'm a car guy, and it's a McLaren, so I'm looking. Light turns green, car goes straight, and I'm all set to appreciate the sound of the McLaren V8 wail as he hits the freeway entrance ramp. And then there's no McLaren. I honestly wanted to know if the car next to it noticed or freaked out, but nobody stopped or anything. But it was bright orange. Kind of hard to lose in the crowd. 1 minute, car was accelerating across the intersection and the McLaren passed a dark-colored Ford truck, and then there was no orange car. Poof. And in both cases, I just let it go. Didn't even come here to post, just decided to ignore it. Maybe I tuned out or didn't see a, I know damn well non-existent turn or something. But then there's a little issue with the construction crew and concrete work disappearing, so here I am. Same car wash where I saw that 5.7 vanished as it happens. It's a large Chevron station with a car wash and hand dry attached, always very busy. I have a discount monthly membership there and get my car washed a couple times a week. There's the main building / convenience store with the gas pumps in the front to the east of it. North of the building is a place where you drop off your car and they vacuum the interior. The automatic wash runs along the rear of the building, and the south of the building is the covered waiting / hand dry area. None of that matters, just paint a picture here. What matters is that along the front of the building, between the drop area and the waiting area, between the front door and the pumps, is a sidewalk that goes from the front door to the covered waiting area, and some parking spaces. Pretty standard convenience store setup. Jutting out from the sidewalk by the waiting area, parallel to the drying and finishing it lanes. In the section of the sidewalk that extends roughly 1 car length into the parking lot towards the pump. This is the boundary that separates the parking space in front of the store from the hand-dried lanes. It's just a section of sidewalk about 4 inches across with a round edge at the end being painted bright yellow so people don't run over it. There's always a little metal sign at the very end of it facing the pumps, advertising the monthly subscription rate for the car wash, to entice locals to subscribe rather than pay as they go. I'm very familiar with this little extension because when it's chilly, like 6 weeks of the year in Vegas, I go stand on it to vape while I wait for my car, as everything else has shade covers and there's sun there. 2 to 3 days ago, I was getting gas at the last pump in the lanes. I saw a construction crew had coned off the area around the sidewalk extension. They were tearing up the concrete, jackhammers and all, loaded it in wheelbarrows and carried it off. They obviously had been at it for a while, as most of the extension had gone down and was bare dirt, and they were finishing up the last little bit of it. I distinctly remember thinking, bummer, now I won't have my little spot to stand out in the sun. I idly wondered if they were getting to something underneath, pipes or something, or if it was being torn out to make room for another parking spot or something. I finished gassing up and left. Today, I dropped off my car to get washed. I walked out to wait, walked out onto the little extension to vape and stand in the sun next to a little sign. Took me about 15 seconds for it to sink in. WTF? Oh, they must have laid new concrete after finishing whatever they were repairing underneath. Duh. I looked down, expecting to see brand new concrete and a freshly painted curb to validate my thought. Nope. Old, stain-worn sidewalk. Old, faded yellow paint, scuffed with tire marks, and chipped out from years of existence. The same sidewalk section and curb I've stood on 100 times. The same sidewalk I watched guys in orange vests and hard hats tear up and dispose of earlier this week. I say it's good to be back, but really, that's not what I'm thinking. Update to the story. Today, I dropped the car off to get washed, go stand in a little spot, fresh concrete, maybe a week or two old. Freshly painted edges with only a few marks on it. Clear demarcation between the old concrete and the new pour. Very obvious difference in color and wear. Right where it would have been expected with the work I witnessed. At this point, I shouldn't even be surprised. The X-ray shows no muscles, no organs, no skeleton beneath the amnesiac woman's skin. What lies beneath is a massive sentient colony of maggots and parasites, making the woman seem like she was alive. And with that, our time together is coming to an end. If you have a story you'd like me to narrate, whether true or fictional, I have links down below on how to send it my way. Thank you to all the writers who let me read your stories this evening. We definitely had some very interesting stories this time. A death that the OP remembers from very long ago now seems to have only happened recently, and a visible cleaning service that was so good at their job that they did it without anyone noticing, even with their eyes on them. Then having 3 halves of the same lemon is such a weird thing, and also to see an airplane frozen in air when it's trying to land. Then to be on a beach and watching the same dad and daughter having the same conversation hours apart. Super bizarre. And of course, Almost-Jaded, still stuck in the wrong dimension, but he sees concrete pulled up, but then not, and then is. Very weird and bizarre. It's like he saw beforehand for them doing it. That one, I have to say, was probably one of his weirder ones. Thank you guys so much for letting me narrate your stories. I hope you get no more glitches and you all stay in the dimensions you're meant to. If you enjoyed these stories, hit that like button and make sure it feels it. If you're new, please subscribe and turn that pretty little bell to all notifications. And of course, leave me a comment. Say what you think, what kind of stories you like in the future. I really love reading them. If you're on the podcast and are able to, please leave a review or comment. If you'd like to help this channel and podcast grow, please share it with anyone who might enjoy it. It helps quite a bit. If you're willing to help in a more financial way like the lovely people on screen right now, I do have Patreon and memberships. You get bonuses like early access and some other things with it. Of course, if you don't want something reoccurring or anything like that, I do have PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, and super thanks. All the links are down below, including the ones to my socials. But as always, guys, thank you for watching and listening. It always has and always will mean the world to me. Sleep tight and don't let 42 bite.